All right, welcome back. And it's time to discover our discovery of the week. Our discovery of the week today, we're going to be looking at this book here. It's called, there are two books actually, The Ghanaian Woman's Guide to Feeding Babies and Toddlers. And then we also have another one, The Ghanaian Woman's Guide to Healthy Eating During Pregnancy. Now, I've been joined by Exornam Selormey, who's a registered nutritionist, and also Fredericka Serwaa Doku, who's a dietitian. And they're going to help us to delve into these books to discover, you know, these books were written by Ghanaians for Ghanaian women. It's just fantastic. I'm just so excited. Welcome, ladies.
How
are you doing?
Thank you so much. Yeah, doing well.
Now, tell us a little bit, give us an overview. When was this book written and why the need for such books in our Ghanaian discourse?
Okay.
Any of you?
So the book was written from somewhere last year, and then it was this year that it came out.
Okay.
And we saw the needs. Our team and the authors saw the need for Ghanaian women to have their own nutritional guide due to personal clinical experiences, and then also our struggle as a country to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. That is zero hunger, good health, and then well-being. And then also Ghanaian women and pregnant women complain about not having our own nutrition guide or eating guide which we could look on. Somebody in the village somewhere can understand and then look on to have a healthy diet.
Yeah.
So this informed our decision to write this book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Pearl, as a nutritionist, how important is it for us to not just borrow, you know, wholesale from everywhere else, but to have our own tailor-made resources, really? How important is that?
Yeah, it's very important for us to have our own, because whenever you are putting, for instance, a patient on a diet, or let's say you are putting a pregnant woman or baby on a particular diet plan, you are looking at sustainability, you are looking at availability, you are looking at affordability. So you want to put whoever it is on something that they can easily find, something that is within their context, something that is sustainable, not something that they'll get today and then the next day it's not available. So yeah, that is why it's very important for us to find something just around them that they can look up to.
Yeah, yeah. So let's start with the first one, which the Ghanaian Woman's Guide to Healthy Eating During Pregnancy. What are some of the highlights of this book in particular?
Okay. This book, I must say that every woman must get this book. Non-pregnant women, women who have potential to be a mother or give birth should have this book. The fact that we have how to plan a healthy pregnancy. And so if you're a young woman, someday, somehow you become a mother, you get pregnant.
Yeah.
And so instead of you waiting for the time to come for you to struggle, you have to start now. Once you are a woman.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Why is it important to prepare yourself even if you're not pregnant yet, or you're not even planning to get pregnant soon? Why is it important to start prepping your body anyway, you know, by eating a certain way?
Okay. It is very crucial, because what you prepare for is what your body takes up. And so if your reserves are low, the baby anyway will pick up. And then you, the mother, will be lost. Your reserve will be finished. And also, if especially you are low in reserves before you are pregnant, then your baby will not have enough. And so it goes to affect the baby's birth weight and also other defects and impairment on the baby. And you know, the future is for females, and female is a resource to life. If the mother is not healthy, it affects the baby. The baby also grows up not being healthy, because whether you have a lower birth weight or a non-healthy baby at the other side, which is a low birth, and then an obese baby, it goes a long way to affect the baby or the adult with a diet disease, diet, lifestyle disease like diabetes, cardiovascular. That is what we are having these days.
Okay.
So these are some of the evidences that have been shown that having a poor nutrition before pregnancy and during pregnancy can affect the child or the adult in future. And so it is very, very crucial. And some of the nutrients that you need in the first 28 days of the pregnancy, you should have them in store before you give birth.
Okay.
You get pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that you also have, let's talk about recipes. So there are recipes in here.
Yes.
Quite a number of them actually.
Yes.
Take us through. I mean, there's one here which says on page 167, a sample 3-day menu for a non-pregnant woman.
Yeah.
So this one is basically for everybody that's a lady. Take us through that and why some of the key components have been included.
Okay. And so there's a 3-day menu for non-pregnant women. And this menu comprises of breakfast, lunch, supper.
Okay.
And then it has the portions or the quantities you can take with estimated handy measures.
Okay.
Meaning that we have translated the quantities into simple measures at home, like a fixed ball of kenke, or a stew ladle of rice, a stew ladle of wache, a half palm size of fish. These are simple ones that we Ghanaians can relate with. And then also, these food have been made, or the menu have been made in according to the RDAs that you are supposed to get. That is the recommended daily intakes of nutrients. Stated in this book. And if you watch here, you realize that there is a carbohydrate portion, that is the wheat porridge for breakfast.
Okay.
And then we have the whole wheat bread is also there, which is full of fiber. And then low-fat evaporated milk. There is protein, and there is a high-quality protein stated here. And then there is carbs and high-quality carb with fiber. And then you see sugar and all that. And then you see snack, banana. And then this is so helpful because some people get up and they don't even know what to eat.
So the snack sort of comes in around what time?
Around mid-morning at 10 a.m.
So let's say like around 10ish.
Yes.
But this is presuming you've actually had a good breakfast already.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't, I mean, the snack is not there for breakfast skippers. Snacks are not for breakfast. Somebody will be like, I ate bananas this morning as my breakfast. No, that is not breakfast. Not breakfast.
Okay.
Yes. And then we have lunch here. That is wache, which is fiber packed, nutrient packed. So the beans is a protein.
Okay.
And then we have tomato sauce or tomato stew with onion, cabbage, which is vegetables. And then we have lean meat. And so we are trying to drive Ghanaian women's mind to the fact they have to get a high quality protein. Lean meat devoid of fat. And then we have vegetable oil here for the sauce. And then they have afternoon snack. Fresh orange juice. So there's an afternoon snack too. So people will be like, I'm dieting. They are not eating the whole day as a young woman. The whole day, and then you eat just once. You are not preparing yourself for
pregnancy. Potential pregnancy. Okay.
And then we have the supper, yam with contemporary stew, which is our delicacy here in Ghana. And then smoked tuna.
So I just like the way this whole thing has been laid out because, like you said, I mean, anybody, anywhere, the length of the breadth of the country can literally just take this and follow because it's even the measures, they are in a form that we appreciate, we can understand. I also noticed that you have exercises and so on in the book as well. So the book is very comprehensive. Let's go to the other book. The Toddlers, Babies and Toddlers, a woman's guide, the Ghanaian woman's guide to feeding babies and toddlers. Pearl, you want to take that?
Yeah, this has become very necessary because currently Global Nutrition Report is even showing that when you pick 9 people, out of them, you get 1 person who is malnourished. when you pick 3 adults, you get 1 person who is obese. And so the need to start looking critically at the foundation we give our kids is very important. Like Fredericka was saying, the first 1,000 days determines what kind of adulthood anybody would have.
Wow.
Your productivity, your long-term health, and everything depends on how you were started off from. And so when the mother gets pregnant, how she feeds herself, when the baby is out, what she feeds the baby is going to determine how well he or she, the baby will become as an adult or even as an adolescent. So feeding the toddler and a baby is very critical.
Okay, so sometimes one of the challenges that people have is that, and I go back to thinking about my daughter, who when she was a baby, you know, that the issue of cost. I think that looking at some of the recipes in here, you've basically addressed that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a very affordable way of feeding a baby, you know, through their toddler years as well. Because tell us a little bit about that, the choices that you made in terms of what it is to give a baby.
Yeah, so like I said earlier on, before you choose a particular food that you would give the child or a food group that you want to give the child, you want to look at how affordable it is. For instance, if you are choosing a particular milk, you ask yourself, in the next 1 year, 2 years, will I be able to afford it and sustain it? Yeah, so in choosing those things, especially for the children, we have to go for our locally made, available food products, which are around us all year round. Where you take the fruits, for instance, almost every month, there are particular fruits that's available in abundance. And you can easily, no matter how much money you have, you can still have something on the table for the kids. That is why it became necessary to include those local foods that we can easily relate with.
Okay, so let's talk then about your biggest takeaways from this book. If you're telling the viewers right now who are watching to get this, what are your biggest pluses of the book that you will use to sell the book?
I would say for the toddlers book, the babies and toddlers book, it's a very comprehensive book. It starts right after the baby is out. So we talked about breastfeeding, how to go about the breastfeeding. You know, nowadays, some mothers are forced not to breastfeed because of the challenges it comes with. But in this book, you have everything about breastfeeding, even you as the mother, what you should be feeding yourself during breastfeeding. And then when you start the complementary feeding, because that is when the challenge starts. When the baby is breastfeeding, all the nutrients the baby requires is gotten from the breast milk. But when you are starting on other feeds, how to go about it, it becomes a big headache for mothers. And then that is when the nutrient deficiency starts. And so the baby's brain development, how they'll thrive in school, all starts getting affected. That is why I would recommend that every
Tell us a little bit about snacks for babies.
For babies. Yeah, so with regards to snacks, we always recommend that babies should be fed on healthy snacks. And we are mentioning healthy snacks because we want to make sure that they are not losing out on the micronutrients. The micronutrients are something that we sometimes overlook, but they are also very important and critical in their development, especially for their brain development.
So when you say micronutrients, you're talking about things like zinc and magnesium,
the vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, E, D,
and the minerals.
You know, and the minerals. And we get most of them from some of the snacks. So it's important we include healthy snacks for the kids, mainly the fruits and the vegetables. We make it in a way that, so in feeding the babies, with this book, it has actually been broken down. Because when you are feeding a baby, you consider so many things. You consider the dentition of the baby. Because if we say you should give an apple to the baby, we want to wonder, will the baby be able to chew an apple? Yeah, so you make it into a texture that the baby can easily accommodate. Yeah.
They are so smart. If the texture is poor, they will refuse
They will reject it.
Yes.
So where can this book be found? Where can it be bought? How much does it cost?
Okay. And so you can check our social media pages, Nutrients and Fitness.
Nutrients and Fitness. Okay.
Yes, on Instagram or on Facebook. You can also send text message. Preferably, we need text messages.
Okay.
055 248 3677.
Okay.
And if you go through that and you're still hustling, you can check on Instagram at Finest Dietitian. If you contact me, I'll get you the book. It's 80 Ghana cedis per copy.
Okay.
Yes, and it's worth it if you buy it. If you're a young person, you buy, you're going to use it and pass on.
They both go the same price?
Yes, 80 cedis both. And then if you buy it, you can pass on to your children and your children's children and all that. So it's a very, very important book.
Yeah,
that
so
every
now,
woman should get.
Now, when we are getting wedding presents for our friends,
Perfect wedding gift.
we should consider.
I like that.
We should consider getting them books
go and
as well.
stand and take pictures. Take this book and wrap it and give it to them.
They'll appreciate it.
They will appreciate it. Yes.
Super. Well, we've been looking at these two fantastic books that have been written for Ghanaian women by Ghanaians, and it's very much
dietitians and nutritionists
tailored to our conditions, our circumstances, our lifestyle, our food, our agriculture. And I want to say a big thank you to Fredericka Serwaa, who's a registered nutritionist, and also to Fredericka Serwaa Doku, who is a dietitian. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us here.
Thank you.